The loneliness of the Christian results from his walk with God in an ungodly world, a walk that must often take him away from the fellowship of good Christians, as well as from that of the ungodly world. This journey is a solitary one, often with only his faith to guide him through the darkness. The path may be strewn with obstacles, trials, and tribulations, but he must press on, driven by the divine calling that echoes within his soul. The Christian's loneliness is not a result of physical solitude, but rather a profound spiritual isolation. This stems from his unique relationship with God, one that elevates him above the mundane and materialistic world. He embarks on a spiritual journey that often distances him from his fellow beings, both believers and non-believers alike. His life becomes a pilgrimage, always seeking, always for a deeper connection with God. At times he may find himself surrounded by a sea of people, yet feel completely alone, misunderstood, and disconnected. The world around him may seem utterly oblivious to his spiritual quest, his struggles and his victories. His God-given instincts cry out for companionship with others of his kind, others who can understand his longings, his aspirations, his absorptions in the love of Christ. Among his circle of friends, he may find few who truly comprehend his inner turmoil, his spiritual battles, his incessant longing for divine love and companionship. He may encounter others who wear the mantle of faith, but lack the spiritual depth and understanding that he yearns for. He may come across those who profess to love God, but their love is shallow and their faith superficial. Their inability to grasp the depth of his faith leaves him feeling more alone than ever. His loneliness is a poignant reminder of the prophets of old, whose yearnings for human understanding often fell on deaf ears, leading to their lamentations. They too were often misunderstood, marginalized, and ridiculed for their unwavering faith in God. This intense loneliness, this sense of being an outsider in an ungodly world, is a cross that the Christian must bear. Even Christ, the Son of God himself, experienced this sense of loneliness, this feeling of being misunderstood, and the pain of being rejected. Despite being the embodiment of divine love, he was subjected to rejection, ridicule, and ultimately crucifixion. His ordeal serves as a reminder that the Christian's path is not an easy one. These unsatisfied longings of the prophets for human understanding caused them to cry out in their complaint, and even our Lord himself suffered in the same way. The man or woman who has passed on into the divine presence in actual inner experience will not find many who understand him. He finds few who care to talk about that which is the supreme object of his interest, so he is often silent and preoccupied in the midst of noisy religious shop talk. For this he earns the reputation of being dull and over-serious, so he is avoided, and the gulf between him and society widens. He searches for the friends upon whose garments he can detect the smell of myrrh and aloes and cassia out of the ivory palaces, and finding few or none, he, like Mary of old, keeps these things in his heart. It is this very loneliness that throws him back upon God. His inability to find human companionship drives him to seek in God what he can find nowhere else.